Now, more than a quarter of the UK's overseas aid budget was spent on support for refugees and asylum seekers last year, a 16% increase from 2022.
Critics have condemned the use of the funds for domestic issues, saying it undermines efforts to tackle global humanitarian problems. Well, joining us now is Borders and International Security Advisor Henry Bolton. Henry, do you know, I've always been quietly approving of foreign aid in general. I know there are people out there going, no, charity starts at home, why throw this money overseas? But I think it does have a degree of soft diplomatic leverage. And I always think, actually, far better helping to solve problems over there rather than have them all come in boats and come here. I mean, but this is ridiculous, isn't it? This is money. If you're going to spend it at home, it should be spent on our own people.
I agree, Alex. What people don't fully appreciate is that the international aid budget also pays our subscriptions, if you like, to be a member of the United Nations, the World Trade Organization, whether you agree with it or whether you don't, the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. There are a whole lot of other things that go on as well. All of our international interaction in that sort of forum is funded from that budget, pretty much. So some of it is critical to our soft power diplomacy. But about 4 years ago, I did a calculation. I reckon we could cut it by about half. And I've always advocated that we waste a lot of money because the Foreign Office and the Department for International Development was unable to tie expenditure to concrete outcomes that benefited the United Kingdom and the British people directly or indirectly. And what we've seen here is I think almost a misuse of the budget. If we are going to use the budget in relation to immigration and asylum, my view is that we should use it to contribute towards stopping the boats crossing the channel, stopping people coming here in the first place, rather than making their lives comfortable when they do get here.
Indeed. This is 4.3 billion quid we're talking about here, Henry. A lot of money. Now, foreign aid, I'm probably not as enthusiastic as you are about it, Alex, but I take your point. What is foreign about spending all this money on hotels and people who are in the UK? This is like taking money out of the cookie jar to buy something else, isn't it? This is robbing Peter to pay Paul. This is wrong. This is not foreign aid. This is spending it on stuff back here.
Yeah, there's some massaging of it, isn't there? I mean, quite clearly. Without having the ability to see in detail precisely where the foreign aid budget is being spent, precisely where, it's difficult to say, because I think probably there is an argument going on in the civil service and between government departments saying, well, look, we can use this budget to send people back or to process them with a view to sending them back to wherever they came from. I think that's really thin justification for using the international aid budget. I really do. I think it needs to be reallocated. I think, by my figures, it's around about 6 billion of the international aid budget should be redirected, not spent on what it is spent on, a whole bunch of sort of basically buying NGOs and so on, 4x4 vehicles and empowering their projects, paying their salaries. A lot of these people are living a fairly good life, not all. A lot of it is wasted. Kevin, I'm not going to, forgive me, but I'm not going to go into the sort of detail of some of the confidential stuff that I got to know when I was working for the Foreign Office. But I can say absolutely that there is concern that a lot of the aid budget is simply not delivering any form of effect at all and is lining people's pockets in other countries to an extent, not all of it. There's a lot to be tightened up on. But the essential point is the one that you raised. Why are we spending the international aid budget on making people's lives comfortable when they reach the United Kingdom? Yeah. I think it's a misuse of funds. It seems that you agree.
I do agree, Henry. I do agree.
I mean, I've always been of the thought that foreign aid should be helping British companies have foreign direct investments abroad, a bit like the Chinese or the old Marshall Programme, let us build things over there, get British people jobs and actually win over infrastructure projects and stuff in other countries. Anyway, moving on. The EU for a long time, ever since 2015, have been hand-wringing about what they're going to do about their migrant crisis that basically Angela Merkel helped create. And for a long time been saying, well, no, it's all about solidarity and sharing the burden. Well, this is now finally finally passed by qualified majority voting, i.e. if you're a country that doesn't want this, you can stick that in your pipe and smoke it. It's happening anyway.
Yeah.
And part of it, I think, is sort of almost sounds promising because they're saying we're going to speed up the system. We're going to be really strict about who actually gets to come here. We'll process people offshore. If you come illegally, you'll be put straight on a plane and sent back. I'll believe it when I see it when it comes to the EU being strong on borders. But this actually does impact Britain, doesn't it? We've got a Labour government coming in saying what we're going to do is break apart the smuggling gangs. All right, believe that when I see it as well. And we're also going to have a returns agreement with countries like France. That would mean, as far as I understand, signing up to this pact and having to take a quotient of all the people arriving in Lampedusa and Greece.
I think you're making an assumption there, Alex, but I think it's a safe assumption. There is no question in my mind that there are good things about this pact and there are bad things. One of the good things is that they're going to do something that I've advocated the UK should do ever since we started suffering from the small boat problem, and that is set up facilities in which we can detain, accommodate and detain the asylum seekers until such time as their claim is processed. They're going to do that. I think that's a very good move. But as you say, they're going to share the asylum seekers around the European Union. I absolutely think that your assumption is safe, that a Labour government would buy into this, because they cannot highlight that word. They cannot sign a returns agreement with France. They can sign a returns agreement with the European Union. And the European Union, believe you me, will require the United Kingdom to sign up to their collective programme and policy on this issue, which means taking a share of the asylum seekers that cross into the European Union, for example, across the Mediterranean into Italy and Greece. So let's stay well away from that. As I've said on social media, the facilities that they want to build, that's a good move. But the sharing out of it, we're better off out of the European Union and not having to participate in that, because we'll end up taking even more people.
Henry, great to speak to you as always. That's Henry Bolton there.
Yeah, thank you, Henry.